All right, so I'll go my left to right, so you're right to left. You all set? All set? Okay, all set? All set? Okay. Well, thank you for coming here this morning. I'm here to update you guys on the incident that happened at Amazon, which occurred Saturday, July 24th here in the town of Gates at approximately 5:45 p.m. At that time, Gates police officers had responded to the Amazon fulfillment facility at 2600 Manitow Road, again located here in the town of Gates. Call came in for a person that had been shot in the parking lot. Our officers arrived on scene, were able to provide care immediately. They did recognize that they did have a victim that had sustained a gunshot. They rendered immediate medical aid until Gates Fire and then Gates Ambulance subsequently arrived on scene. Medical was transported by Gates EMS. Unfortunately, the victim, Marquise Ortiz Harris, passed away due to the injuries sustained from the shooting. This is all information that we had shared on that evening. And then the update is that last evening at approximately 6:15, the Gates Police Department, with assistance from the New York State Police, Chuck Salina, our U.S. Marshal, and his U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, took Luis Ortiz Vega, a 28-year-old Rochester, New York resident, into custody for the homicide here in the town of Gates. We knew it was Mr. Vega pretty early on in the investigation that day. Unfortunately, he had fled the state. So that's where it took us this whole time. Obviously, then we had another shooting homicide here in the town of Gates, which also took us out of state. So at the entire time, we didn't put one on the back burner. We didn't do one over the other. It was just what the information and what the evidence was taking us to. Fortunately, we were able to make an arrest in the Wegmans homicide, and then subsequently, following this person outside of the state for a while now, he did return back to the Rochester area, and our investigators and the staff put together whereabout he was. The U.S. Marshals are an amazing group of people, their task force. They were able to sit and watch and check out some areas for us in the city with a lot more staffing than we have here in town. And fortunately, last night, the individual popped out of a house in the city, got into a car. The car began to pull away. So the task force, along with RPD and the New York State Police, were able to do a successful traffic stop. And they took our suspect into custody without incident. Nobody was injured last evening, no law enforcement. The suspect was not, and no bystanders. So it was a great arrest by our partners, great help. And we took another homicide suspect off the streets last night. So it was a great day for us here. We notified the family last night. They were very happy that we had caught this bad person and taken him off the street as well. So that's the update here. He is currently in the Monroe County Jail. Should be being arraigned probably right about now on murder 2 charges in Monroe County Cap Court. So I would imagine, I don't know his record offhand right here, but it's murder 2, so I would assume that there'd be a no bail hold for right now. But again, that's just an assumption on my part.
Yes. Do you know more about the identity of the suspect, if he was an Amazon worker as well, and his relation to the victim?
Yeah, that's a good question. He was not an Amazon worker. He did know the victim. They had some sort of beef that had started prior to, and the suspect sought out the victim. We're still working on whether or not he was at the location waiting for him to arrive to work, or if he followed him there, and then they had a disagreement in the parking lot. And unfortunately, one of the individuals pulled out a handgun and decided to end a disagreement that way and fired multiple rounds into a car, striking our victim.
Good morning, sir.
Yep.
You said he crossed state lines and then returned. Do you know why he came back to Rochester?
I don't know why he came back. My only assumption is it's home. Its family is here. A lot of times you see that people return back to where they know, where their roots are. You know, you miss your family members, you want to come back. You think that you can hide in plain sight sometimes. So that would be my assumption, is that, you know, missed home, missed family, and wanted to get back to that connection.
Do we know where he went when he fled originally?
Originally, he definitely fled out of New York into Pennsylvania. From there, we're still trying to track down the pieces, whether he had gone west or east. We had some intel that he may have been headed towards like the central U.S., and then there were some to the East Coast. We tracked him into New Jersey at one point. And then at some point he returned back to Rochester, which turned our investigation back to local.
Do we know how he was traveling, if he was flying or he was driving around? How was he getting around?
Yeah, I can confirm, like, he left the state in a vehicle. And then as far as his return back, I'm not 100% sure on how he was able to return from Jersey back to here.
Do we know how long he's been back in the Rochester area?
We do not know officially when he returned here. Some of our tips and leads led us to confirming that he was possibly in this area. We continued at the same time to look out of state because we could not confirm or deny. And then the big confirmatory part was last evening when he did exit a house and get into a car, and multiple people were able to witness him leaving. So.
Did you have community support in trying to track down this individual when he returned to Rochester, or was it all the fugitive task force?
Yes and yes. So there was a lot of work that the Fugitive Task Force did, a lot of work that our police investigators here in the town of Gates did, tracking down leads, and then there are some, community support throughout this whole time, just people that may have seen something in the parking lot, trying to just provide additional details, just to kind of help out, from the incident, because it did happen in the parking lot of a big business, so there were people that saw some things that day that let our officers know, and then over time there were other people that came to us and said, this big incident happened. I don't know if this is a good piece of information, but this had occurred, or I'd seen this. That sometimes that information does help us. You're in that moment, you don't think that something that you saw, something that you heard had any role in an incident, but a lot of times that's that little piece of information that law enforcement needs. And we had some of the people reach out and say, hey, I may have saw this car, or I heard this sound or this noise, and things like that really do help us out. And we appreciate when people finally reach out and say, hey, sometimes it's not right away, it might be a week later, they're just thinking, and that stuff does help in the investigations.
Have you seen that change over time since you've been chief or in law enforcement? The citizens of this city are kind of fed up with the violence and they're reaching out more now?
Yeah, I would say in recent years there has been a lot more reaching out, a lot more tips that we get, whether it's through our social media, through our tip line here at the town, whether people are calling, emailing my email, the investigators, but there's a lot more out there, people coming out and saying, we're sick and tired of Kias being stolen, Hyundais being stolen, shootings. Here's some information, and it seems like the community is, like you said, just fed up with the crime, whether it's in the Rochester area, Monroe County, New York State, and there's a lot more people coming out, seeing things. More people are being vigilant. More people are paying attention. People going shopping at the mall or to the movie theaters are paying attention to their surroundings more, which we appreciate as law enforcement. Keeping an eye on what's going on, and a lot of people are staying and reporting. People that you never thought would stay and give you information are staying and saying, hey man, I saw this, I saw that, because they're fed up with the problems that we've had in our community.
You mentioned that you spoke with the family of the victim last night, alerting them that you had the suspect in custody. How are they doing?
That I really don't know. The investigators did that last evening, so we let them go make the notify. So I couldn't really tell you how they're doing. I can only imagine they lost a loved one. This isn't the first time we've had a homicide in town, and I've talked to family members, and not saying that everybody goes through the same thing, but there's definitely the shock, that you lost a loved one. If you have somebody sick in a hospice, right, like you could start developing that, this person might not be here for a long time. When you have a 24-year-old who's going to work, you don't expect your 24-year-old to get gunned down in a parking lot. So there's definitely that shock. There's a lot of times they seek relief when we go and we say, hey, listen, we caught the suspect in this. It does bring a little relief to them, but then they also have to relive it again. And then that's another thing that happens with this too. Obviously there's going to be a court process. There'll be a trial. They get to relive all of this again. Then there's going to be a sentencing after that. The family gets to relive it again. There'll be a 1-year anniversary. They relive it again. 2 years, 3 years, all the way down the road. Birthdays, holidays. So it definitely affects the family, each family differently, but you have that hole now, and I couldn't even imagine on how they're feeling.
Chief, whose house was he coming out of, and where was the traffic stop?
The traffic stop was up off of Union Street in the city. I'm not sure exactly what the address is offhand, and as far as the the location. We're just gonna hold on to that for right now.
You talk about the support you guys have, the Fugitive Task Force, your organization, RPD, you know, you guys work collaboratively to get this person off the street.
Yeah, so one of the great things, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say this the rest of my career, we have some of the greatest law enforcement in Monroe County, whether it's at the village level, to the town level, city level, all the way up to our federal partners. We've never had a problem with our federal partners. You watch your TV shows and you see like the FBI coming in to take over investigations, and we have whole movies and stuff about this, right? That's not reality here. We call as a small town and say, hey, we need this resource from somebody, and people jump to come help us. The task force, the Marshals Task Force, right away, we said, hey, this person fled out of state. They were right on it for us, right along the ride with us. The Sheriff's Office, Town of Greece, Ogden, New York State Police, they arrived on the scene with us when the call came in for the shooter at Amazon. One of the things that was unclear was whether or not the shooter was still in the parking lot or had gone into the building with an active shooter situation. We had more support coming than we could imagine, which is great in this community. And we've provided the support too to others. Fights in the mall in Greece, we've sent Gates police cars. Shootings in the city, we send Gates police cars just to work and provide that safety and security for all of us.
And could I clarify that you guys knew he was back in the city of Rochester? Did you know his location, or it was someone happened to see him getting into that car?
We knew he was back in the city of Rochester. We knew his location, and it was just waiting to visually put eyes on him. So we knew whereabout. We knew that there was a location, a house. Whether or not he was inside was still unclear, and then when he popped outside, that's when we can confirm it, and that's when he was taken into custody.
How long were you surveilling the house?
For a good long while, ever since the day of the incident. So there's been some surveillance of some type on a couple different locations within Rochester as well as out of state.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.